Hello and welcome to the 100th episode of the Ladies Best Life podcast. Today is a slightly different one. I am being grilled by my client and friend, Sam Jones. So Sam and I have worked together for a year now. She joined the coaching club wanting to see physical change and also things like boundaries, confidence, and all those wonderful things. Throughout this year, we have become quite close and we spend time together when I'm in the UK hiking. She's been to a few of our events and it's just been incredible. And where did the idea come from, Sam?
What's to join the CC?
No, to do
Oh,
this.
for this.
Yeah.
Oh, it was actually on one of my check-in forms. You said any ideas, and I was like, yeah, it'd be really interesting to ask you loads of questions actually, rather than the other way around.
I love that. So you're fully stepping into the question master zone now. So without further ado, the stage is yours, mate. So let's go.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's actually really interesting because when Sasha obviously asked me all the questions, I'm always really wanting to ask the questions right back at her. So here is that opportunity. Not if you've all listened to Sasha's podcast before, you'll know she's really open. So I don't need to go over lots and lots of stuff in the past. So I want to get as close to the here and now as we can. But probably a good place to start is the coaching club when it was born. Was it 2021?
2020.
2020. So where did the idea come from to start the coaching club? And did you plan on what it is today, or is that just sort of developed over time?
Good question. Okay, so I was a personal trainer for like 13 years, 12 years maybe. So I built up from being a fitness instructor, a Zumba instructor, kettlebell courses. Like I would be queen of the courses. I wanted to go on everything, nutrition courses, and I was a PT. I had a personal training business where I had three personal trainers working for me, and COVID came and it was like, shit, we are all now needing to go online. So we had to pivot in regards to that. But even before that, I'd created what was it called? The On Form Fitness Academy, copying James Smith. And there was like workout videos in there, nutrition videos, and we had a group of about 75 people paying $13.99 a month. And I started to, from like kind of the year before I created CC, I was getting just a bit meh with personal training. Like I had my clients were like the scene of Monsters Inc. So I had like an 84-year-old guy, I had like a 18-year-old female who wanted to just get shredded for Ibiza, and it was like such a mismatch. And I found it really frustrating because freedom being my highest value, I always want, like I found it hard, like I had to fucking be at the gym at 6 a.m. or I'd still be there at 8 p.m. And then you'd get like cancellations and stuff. And I found it really frustrating. And another thing that I realized is the frustration was also I knew I could help people more. So there would be like the setup of client would come in, hey, how are things going? Yeah, good, thanks. Okay, let's get you warm. And then it would be like, how's your nutrition been? Yeah, it's been okay, thanks. Okay, cool. Pretty much don't speak to them again unless they've got any questions till the next week. Way day comes round, they've not lost a thing. Why is that? Because they're only seeing me for an hour. Some of them would have me 3 times a week, but for that 1 hour or that 3 hours compared to the other 24 hours on the clock, right? Or the rest of the 24 hours. So it mostly became an idea out of frustration. But then COVID hit. I did, I think it was 6 months of Zoom personal training sessions, which was soul destroying. And I'd been following the mentor who kind of helped me to take this off the ground for about 5 years. And I'd kind of like messaged him, you know, like I say, like, oh, if you want to know more, pop me a message with interested. I did that probably about 8 times. And I just ignored him every time because I was like, I don't see how I can get the freedom that you're saying I can in my current business model. But then I basically thought, right, I'm fed up with this now. Let's just invest in myself and do it. And that's where it all happened. So I was like, right, Phil, I am intrigued by mental health. I always have been. Like before I came into personal training, I had applied and got a place at Manchester Uni to become a mental health nurse. My mum is a carer and my sister's a neonatal nurse. So caring and, you know, working with people is in our blood. So I said to Phil, who was the mentor, I was like, I want something that doesn't just help people to lose weight. I want it to be like everything. that being said, that was going to take more time to build. And he was like, I want you to start getting some experience in the coaching realms and start putting programs together and start this journey in the easiest way possible for you. So when the CC actually started, it was a 90-day fat loss plan. And if you think what I'm like now, Sam, like that is the stuff that makes my shit itch.
Yeah, you rant about that on a regular basis.
But this is the thing, right? Like, hang on, there we go. I rant now about a lot of the things that I used to do. And this is why I don't hold judgment on people when they do certain things, because I'm like, well, I was probably that person too at one point. Like what year was it? It's the year I had my tonsils out. We're now 23. It's probably 10 years ago, actually. So 2013, I was selling, have you heard of Body Bye Bye?
No.
So Body Bye Bye is meal replacement shakes.
Oh, Jesus.
So back in like 10 years ago, I was selling Body Bye Bye meal replacement shakes. And that's why now I'm like, okay, I fucking hate Slimming World. I fucking hate all these things. But also, I don't blame people for doing it. And I don't blame people for, as business owners as well, like you see this thing and it sounds amazing. So you give it a go, you know? Now, I also know myself so much more. So anyway, that's where CC started. So it was a 90-day fat loss plan. And although I knew the frustration that I felt was that people would never get sustainable results, and that I am the queen of the why, right? So I always wanted to know, yeah, but why do they emotionally eat? Why do they binge eat at weekends? Why are they drinking the wine? Why are they not looking after themselves? And obviously that is what we do now. We help everyone to understand why, to then fix the symptoms of the feelings of what's going on. So that is why
How did you make that transition from your 90-day fat loss over to what it is now? Because, you know, I've been in the CC 12 months now, and I don't quite know communities like it. I mean, not only is there the amazing women that are in the community, there's also yourself and multiple other coaches who are all experts in their own little niche part of the health and wellness industry, which we have access to, we can ask questions to. You know, there's did that just happen? Did that just evolve? Or was that something you saw and you thought, that's what I want that whole coaching club, I guess? Is that where that came from?
I want to tell you something as well. So when we first created the name, I was like, I want it to feel like abundant. So I was like, what can I call it? And for ages, I was set on it being called, is it to be prosperous?
Yeah.
And I was going to call it prosper. And then my mentors were like, Sash, that means rich in money. Like pretty much that's what it means. So they're like, that's not like, you're not a wealth mentor, mate. So that's another little funny story. But no, so obviously I changed it to 6 months from, I think it was May 21. So that's just about 7 months ish of being inside the online coaching rounds. And the reason why, again, came from frustration. So people would come in for 90 days. It was so much pressure because they'd be like, I want to lose a stone in 90 days or 2 stone or whatever. And so then I'm like, right, fuck, restrict like mad. You need to do this. You need to do that. Like we call it drown the journey. So I was like giving them so much to do. So it was like just fucking a massive thing of overwhelm. People got significant results. And I know now from what I see on social media, a lot of those people have still maintained it. But would I ever do that now? Not a chance. So it came from frustration. It came from the pressure of having to do a lot in just 90 days. Bearing in mind, a lot of these women had struggled with it for like 10 years. So I was putting too much pressure on myself. So this is when I hired Joe Parrish to be my coach. And he was like, it seems like this is just taking you over the edge and you need to put some boundaries in place and make it 6 months. And I did that. And like what I used to hear all the time on the kind of like initial connection call was 6 months, that's so long. And now we're looking at changing it to a year, because I'm like, if you've been struggling for 10 years, think about how long it's going to take to make behavioral change. It's longer than 6 months. So the transition was slow and steady. And where I've really, I think, got ahead of the game is because I'm not afraid to invest in myself. I'm not afraid to put myself in rooms where I feel like the bottom of the kind of like knowledge scale, if you like. So I'm constantly looking at how can I learn more about what's going on in the world and the things that are available to us. And it's not like shiny object. I just think like there are so many opportunities in life for us to grow and for us to learn. And I've never been shy of that. I've never been shy of putting myself in different rooms. So that's how it's evolved.
I think that's really important actually, because when I probably joined, I thought 6 months, I want it now, I want it now. And I think, but having that 6 months and possibly longer, I think the way you deal with us as our coach is you make it okay to sometimes plateau in line with where your life's at that moment, because that is real life. I've done 90-day plans before, and yes, it worked, and yes, I dropped weight, but this time it just felt so easy. And I think that's because our program changes in line with where we're at. And I think there's less of that, I need to stick at it because I've paid for 90 days and I need to get as much as I can out of it and restrict everything and anything. And I think that's where you've really nailed it with how the coaching club works at the moment. We actually had a live this morning. We've already spoken this morning once, haven't we? And I think something that came up actually, which is one thing that I actually really admire about you, is you are a coach, and many coaches will come across as you've got it all sussed, all sorted, you know what you're doing, you know where you're going, and what you're really good at is being really open and transparent and saying, hey, I got that wrong, I can change my mind, yes, I went on that path, like you were selling whatever you were selling before. It's so far away from what you think now, and the fact that you make that okay to change your mind and change direction. I'm the queen of procrastinating about something, and I want to be 100% sure about something before I take that step, which you're very good at sort of saying. I think you said to me once, just take a step. It doesn't matter if you change your mind and have to come back and go in opposite direction. Do you think have you always been like that, or is that something that you've learned from having your own boardroom and your own coaches?
As in the ability to change my mind?
Just, yeah, that sort of, yeah, the ability to change your mind and being okay with that.
I think I have. Yeah, I think I have. I'm just trying to think to school and stuff. Like, say, for example, I got into Manchester Uni, and then I was like, I was a lifeguard, and I tried one aerobics class, woke up the next morning in my bed, and I was like, I can't fucking move. I love that. Like, literally the feelings of DOMS for your first time in your life. And then I was literally in that moment, I'm not going to uni. And then I was like, my mum is like big set on, education system norms and stuff. And I was like, how am I going to tell Janet that I'm not going to uni? But it was just a thing of, look, I basically lied and was like, I'm going to do a gap year. And, I'm going to do this course as a side kind of hustle. And I probably won't go to uni, and that softened the blow. So yeah, I think I've just been ballsy, mate. Like, I don't know what it is about me. I've Sasha, sassy seems to work quite hand in hand. I think from being the baby of a family who also, dad walked out, so I've kind of been a bit different. I've been protected by a lot of people in my life as well. So I've always been courageous. I've always had that ability to stand up and just do whatever the fuck I want. I'm also very good at speaking up for other people. And I like to think I've got good morals in regards to what's right and what's not, but I do operate from the grey area as well, as rights and wrongs can change quite a lot. So yeah, I think it's always been a part of me, but it's definitely got stronger in this past kind of 3 years as I've had Kieran, Joe Parrish, and a mentor in my boardroom.
What would you say to someone? So, you're obviously ballsy, you've made decisions, you've gone with your heart, and there'll be loads of people out there who think, oh, I'd love to do that. I'd love to change a career, or I'd like to go into coaching, but they're scared about what people think if they're going to get it wrong. What would you say to those people?
What's the alternative?
Yeah,
I can expand. So I would say my levels of courage have developed, right? So say, for example, when I finished with my first boyfriend, because I've finished with all my boyfriends. So when I finished with the first one, it probably took me about 18 months to do it. And it was very much like, oh my God, my family love him. Like he absolutely adores me and all these different things. So it took me a long time to get there. And it was like weighing it up over the time of his happiness or my happiness. What am I most responsible for? So it's not that it's always been as easy as it is for me now. And don't get me wrong, there are some decisions I do still have to make, which do take me a little bit of time, and that's okay. But for someone who's listening to this, who's like, let's go about it in a fat loss journey, and it's something that you're considering of doing something, but you're scared. Does that sound about a right one?
Yeah. Anything really that's sort of people thinking I could do that, but I'm scared for numerous reasons, whether that be people's opinions or failure.
Yeah. And fear of failure is definitely one that people who join CC, well, pre-joining, they'll say. And it's an interesting one, because the way I see it is, if you have something wrong or you're not happy with something and you're currently not doing anything, brutal, but you're already failing. So it's about the reframe. In regards to people's opinions, how many times have you heard someone's opinion, even though you've done everything to try and keep them happy? And maybe their opinion is kind of like negative of you, but you could have done everything to try and keep them happy. So
yeah,
people will judge no matter what you do. And you can spend your entire life just trying to run around, like keeping everyone happy and like, you know, saying what you need to that person, but they're probably going to think, like, someone will still think you're a dick anyway, or someone will still be unhappy with what you're doing. And that's what I've definitely really strengthened over this past kind of like 18 months of like singledom, if you like, obviously not now, but it's realizing that you will let people down in life. People will be unhappy with some of the things you do, but the alternative is you stay unhappy and you stay stuck. And I think as you develop yourself, as you're working on yourself, your self-worth goes up. So you realize that your happiness is just as important as other people's.
Yeah, I can see sort of over the last 12 months of me being in the coaching club, you know, you're very good at feeling okay to be selfish, actually. I know we've talked about this before when I've done a call in the coaching club, and you know, I have chosen to be selfish in certain scenarios where before I was always putting the kids first and the husband first and work first and everything like that. And I think when you start to be a little bit selfish and you do what is right for you, everyone around you that cares about you and that you care about will still be there, and they will fully support you. There will be people along the way who don't. Maybe they're threatened by it. Maybe they a bit jealous maybe of the happiness that you're appearing to have, and they want it too. And I think I've definitely not stopped caring as much about what people think, because actually I'm happy. And that is basically everyone's goal in life, has to be that you're happy with yourself.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. I think we care so much about what other people think when we don't know what we think. And that's why self-awareness and becoming authentically you, which I know is quite a cliche thing, but understanding who you are, what you like and what you want, that then helps you to not feel so guilty for looking after yourself, or not feeling the need to people please, because you're like, okay, I understand that's what you want, but this is what I want, and I understand that to my core. So yeah, I think that's a good point to remember.
This actually is a good thing to lead on to. So values, we talk about values a lot in the coaching club. So you tell me what your values are in life.
Freedom, authenticity, exploration, self-betterment.
See, you can just realize that.
And they haven't changed in like probably 3 years now. And I fully know that my actions align to them. Like even the decision to stay in Bali, you know, it was a fuck, I should go home because I booked the flight, and I had Tom Jones with my mum, and obviously Rodney was only booked in for 3 weeks. And then we obviously had the chat, and it was like, yeah, but do we actually have to go home?
Yeah.
Do we actually have to? Or can we use the opportunity to get better by the connections that we've made out here, which are life-changing? Can we tap into my top value, which is freedom? You know, I haven't created an online business just to help other people globally. I've also created it to suit me, because where I see a lot of people go wrong in business with their own business is they make it to suit just the client. They don't make it to suit themselves. Your business is an extension of you, and also it has to bring you what you want. Otherwise, you may as well just be in the job that you hated.
Yeah. And we've touched on this before, haven't we, in talks, and you know, you had a little bit of negative feedback with regards to Bali, and obviously us knowing you in the coaching club, one of the things that runs right through you is freedom and living life on your terms. So what you were doing, I think, did people message you sort of what you're doing is unattainable, you know, that sort of thing? Well, as far as we're concerned, as far as I'm concerned, in knowing you, you're living life on your terms. And if that means in Bali, that's you. You do you. Like, I can live life on my terms. Just because I can't go to Bali, I can't have to move my 2 kids to Bali. But I can still live life on my terms within my life, you know. And I think that's what people sometimes don't get. Like, just because you're doing that doesn't mean that's the best life for everybody. But that's you.
It's look at Joe Parrish, right? He went out on a casual 16-mile run on Sunday and did a live in our HPC group. I don't think, oh, Joe's running marathons, I don't want to be coached by him. I think, fucking hell, what a nutter, running 16 miles. How can I transfer the principle of that to me? And it is doing what you said you were going to do, showing up for yourself when you can't be asked and you've got a load of things to do. That was the message of his life. The same with me living life on my terms and coming to Bali, expressing freedom, my highest value. It's also putting myself in a moment of quite a long moment of fear and thinking, shit, is this going to upset people? Is it going to do this? It's also proving to myself that the business I've built can do what I wanted it to do. And this is something, when I shared that, I think it was Ash who was like, people would assume that from you being in Bali, it would make your service worse. But she was like, everything has just got better since you've been there. And it's so true, because I'm not here on a fucking holiday. I'm here to work, you know?
I was going to say, so obviously you already went into it, but when I was talking about the values, you know, you feel like your actions align to that, which is amazing. Do you have to continuously remind yourself that? Like, sometimes do you feel like you're going off path and then you think, hang on a minute, what am I doing? These are my values. And you have to re sort of align things.
I'm like a dog with a bone when it comes to self-betterment. So that one's taken care of. Like, I am obsessed with knowing more. I am obsessed with becoming better, whether that be aesthetically, whether it be strength, whether it be, you know, I'm now going into the functional health realms and learning from AJ and the IOH, you know, whatever it is in regards to self-betterment, like even coaching skills. And that's why I'm always going, right, like, who can I bring on board? Like, I'm speaking to a skin specialist in the next couple of weeks and all these different things, right? So self-betterment, like, I'm like a dog with a bone. We don't need to focus on that. That just literally happens by default. And if ever I feel like I'm coasting, it's not from a place of pressure either. I'm like, ooh, where can I go now? What angle? Exploration. I think that links really nicely to self-betterment, because it's like exploring what I can do, what my body can do, what my mind can do, and obviously exploring the world. Freedom, that's the one that sometimes gets me. Even though it's my highest value, it's very much against the grain in society. So choosing to stay in Bali, I'm an adult, I can do what I want. Yeah, I've had backlash. Okay, so that was a bit of a push and pull between what others want me to do and what I want to do. Freedom as well, like running your own business. Carl and I were speaking about this the other day, and it was like, I wear all the hats of a business still, you know, and anyone who has done a startup business, you know that you are the marketer, the salesperson, the person who delivers it, you're all of the hats. And that's where I'm currently at. I've got a few people, you know, helping out behind the scenes, but it's still not the level that I kind of need it to be. So my freedom can sometimes be reduced because of that. And this is why I need to remind myself, like, tomorrow we're going to go climb Mount Batur, and you know, so my days off, if you like, won't be at the weekend, they'll be in the week. That to me is a bit like, oh, this is going to feel weird because it's not the normal, but I have created this business to give me the freedom. And then authenticity. I am learning so much about myself through reflection, discussion, coaching, mentorship, therapy. And I think it's a constant thing, authenticity. Like, you can't be like I'm not now like I'm authentically me, because there will still be some levels of conditioning and some things I've learned over the last 31 years of my life that are playing out now. I think I don't know. I feel a bit like this is maybe a bit
Your
irresponsible.
self-aware, but your self-awareness helps with that, doesn't it? Because like you say, that's you are very self-aware. Like I'd imagine things come out of your mouth sometimes and you think, oh, did I do that? Is that my opinion? And, like I can imagine you actually do analyze yourself and your actions, and that's probably how you continue to figure out what is authentically you. Yeah.
100%. But what I was going to say is like, I don't think I'll ever reach the point of being like, I'm genuinely, authentically 100% me, because I think as we learn and grow through life, those new doors are going to open. So
Yeah.
I currently am 100% me, but that's going to be different tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So limiting beliefs. I know you love to ask this question yourself. So I'd like to know if you feel like you've got any limiting beliefs.
And we all do. We've all got limiting beliefs. You know, I've recently kind of set some really ambitious goals for the next 6 months in regards to the coaching club. So we're looking to take the amount of countries that we're in and double it. You know, we're looking, because I lay there the other day and I was like, there are so many fucking people who can't get sustainable results. There's so many women who are bottom of the pile. There's so many people who don't know themselves. And I was like, and here I am, you know, we've got 45 people in the coaching club, which is incredible, but there's fucking millions. And here I am, like literally, I play it small. And the limiting belief behind that could be time, could be the capacity to be able to help more people, or the, you know, we all get these feelings, I think, that pop up that's like, but what if I get found out? You know, so if we go to the next level of what we're currently doing, that's when the little imposter syndrome comes in. And he says to me, you're going to get found out. I'm like, found out for what? Like, when I think about it from a logical standpoint, I'm like, what the fuck is he even talking about? So I have to I have to challenge myself constantly about the limiting beliefs. And that's my biggest one recently. It's also like, you know, I've said for 8 months of this year that I'm striving to do a pull-up. And it's like, will I ever fucking do it? Will I ever be able to do it? The doubts are normal, you know, and insecurities are normal. It's part of being human, but it's what you do with them. And it's how much weight you give them as well.
And I think that's what's really good about how you coach, your coaching style as well. It's you are very relatable to all of us. And the lessons you learn along the way, you hand over to us as well, which is amazing. I think that makes the whole client coach relationship even better when we think actually Sasha's evolving constantly, so why can't we?
And it's so exciting as well, because like the stuff I'm learning now in 6 months will be fully ingrained into coaching club. And that's where it's like, and this is what Joe Parrish is really good at doing inside his group for coaches. So you're like, I don't ever want to fucking go anywhere, because he's growing, his business is evolving, it's always getting better. It's not like you come in and it's like, what stays the same? I know, like things that just stay the same and they get stagnant. You know, I know where Joe is going, I want to be a part of. And that's what I think for me. And that's why, like, the people who connect with me and really work well inside the coaching club, they're like, I fucking love that you continue to grow, and I want to be front row seat for that.
And that's the thing. I think that's what a lot of those ladies will not want to leave, because you're on a journey and I want to be there to see it. You know, it's inspiring and it's exciting. Like when you tell us there's new stuff coming, and I'm excited. I like to watch your journey. And I imagine you're like that maybe with your coaches too. And yeah, it's nice, because sometimes I think if you're not in that industry, like I'm not in that industry, you're obviously surrounded by lots of people in that industry. People might find themselves in a community which don't think like this. They might be the same as what they've been in the last 20 years. And sometimes I think when you're part of a community like Coaching Club, it's an in to something else, which, like for me, I wouldn't have had that anywhere else, unless you're going to go out and make loads of new friends randomly, which is, you know, it's difficult.
Very difficult.
So no, it's really good. It's something to be proud of. So would you say, obviously you're an advocate for balance, how do you cope with your work-life balance?
This is my nemesis because of this, like, so because how I'm built in regards to genetics and conditioning, I am designed to do the best I can. I'm not a perfectionist by any stretch, but I'm like one of those people who's like, potential, I'm coming after you. You combine that with someone who, you know, all of us are busy, right? We've all either got a business or we work in a career, you know, family. I don't have children, but I do have family around me. We've got friends as well. I want to train, and it is fucking hard to fit it all in. Okay. And one thing I notice is, so currently we're building out the coaching club success system. It is probably 4 hours a week minimum of filming that I need to be doing. Add that on top of everything else, it's like shit. And then over the past kind of like week, I've also had education, which has been about 20 hours over the past week. So for me, work-life balance has not been there. And what then has to happen is I have to say no to some social things. I also have to communicate with people around me that I might not be as calm as I can be. I might be a little bit short on certain things. And it's just about communicating it. And the way that I see it, because I don't think you can have 100% synergy in every week. I don't believe it, you know, and this is why when I say work-life balance, I'm like, please understand, I'm not saying you're going to have complete harmony between them all, because you're not. The way I like to do it is have a bit of an intention for the week. So for example, this week for me, the first 2 days of the week is all about business. The next 2 days are all about downtime, switch off. I'm not taking my laptop with me. I have got a couple of calls, but it's literally they're booked in anyway, so they need to happen. So I segment all my days to be like, have a focal point. That helps me hugely. But what I also do is I make sure my standards are super high. So bedtime is between 9 and half 9 in the evening. Try and sleep until around 6 o'clock. So that's a decent amount of sleep, because I don't give a fuck about, you know, staying up for 4 hours watching TV as my downtime. I think it's just a complete waste of time. My nutrition, like I eat the most simple, but super delicious, because we put loads of herbs and spices in there, but simple foods. You know, foods that comes from the ground, or like animals, obviously not veggie or anything. So simple, minimal processing, and the foods that really feel good for me. What that then does is it gives me an abundance of energy. We have more capacity when we have more energy. We have more motivation when we have more energy. That enables me to work more and to have a higher output. I still then do need to be careful, because sometimes you can then kind of take advantage of that high energy. So yeah. It's about making sure I am now taking every weekend off. That helps massively. Like I don't reply at all over a weekend. And I try and take, it doesn't always happen, a queen day on a Wednesday as well. So the half a day on a Wednesday I have just to do whatever.
You say this queen day, I know for a fact it's that you're never on radio silence on your queen day. So
I really hope Kieran doesn't listen to this.
Actually, I'd say you're better since being in Bali. Would you say that's
100%?
Helped? Because when you were here, it was because you're so close physically to people. I think it's easier to I'll just do this quick call, or I'll meet one of my clients for a walk. That's still not a queen day. That's still work. Would you say being in Bali has helped that?
100%. If you think about it, so Rodney is at Holly, so I don't have a dog to walk twice a day. I have delegated a bit more work out as well since being out here. I don't have to clean. We generally we were getting food prep at one point as well, so we weren't needing to cook. So my output was much less. Also, like you say, like you know, less people, like even friends and family. Like my mum will always call by for like 2 hours a week, which I love. And then my friends will be the same, and then it's clients as well. So it's definitely helped me with boundaries, and it's something that when I'm home for that 8 weeks, I'm going to be sticking to. You know, I can't have leisurely walks every week, as great as it is. You know, I'm happy to do group ones, but just doing like, you know, singular client walks is really tricky to do whilst my time is also limited.
I'll have to tempt you with a spa day then.
Oh, that's fine. I'll be there, mate. Spa day.
So I just want to get on to, I know we're going to be short on a bit of time soon, but I want to get on to so obviously being in the health and wellness industry, does that come with its own pressures to look and be a certain way? And is that something you struggle with, or are you that confident in your own sort of, how is that?
There is a pressure unless you know yourself. So yes, in my previous years, when I didn't know myself as well, I would definitely have felt under pressure to look a particular way. Now, you know, the gym I'm currently training at is a great example. It's full of like size 6, massive ass, like huge lips. They wear like these one piece fucking leotards to the gym with like their bum cheeks hanging out the bottom. And I'm there just like I've started getting into big baggy tops when I train, because I go in there and I graft, right? So it's very interesting seeing that kind of like influencer take on the fitness industry. But there's a difference between the fitness industry and the health and fitness industry. We dedicate ourselves to bring the health back into the fitness industry. And we know that your health goes way beyond how you look. I am all for looking your fucking best. Like for me, I love it when I'm in the right part of my cycle. And maybe I did glutes day yesterday and I got a bit of like I know, like a peachier peach, for example. I love that. But it doesn't make me feel validated anymore, whereas it used to. And I can see how a lot of people do. And even if you look at like engagement on social media, if I put a bikini picture up, and this is why I do it occasionally, well, quite frequently at the minute, because I'm in a fucking bikini all the time, my engagement goes up massively, because people want, and it's not just all weirdos, it's not just all men, right? People are status driven, right? And this is why, like, how I teach inside the coaching club is quite different to how I am on socials. Not hugely, but you do notice the difference. I talk more about weight loss on socials and all those things, because that's what people think is going to make them happy, right?
Yeah,
that's what people think is going to make them happy. So I did used to get kind of swept away with the whole, oh my God, I've got to look a particular way. Now I know, I respect my body so much more. I know I'm healthy, I know I'm strong. So I know that even though some days I will have low confidence days, especially when I first started training at this gym here, I was like, fuck me, like I need to make some changes, because like I don't look like that. But then I was like, whoa, like you look fucking good. And the main thing is I feel good.
Yeah. And that's the thing, and that's where I think the focus on health and wellness that is around now is amazing if it's done in the right way. I think that there's a lot you see on social media which typically you just described, which, you know, that's a hard act to follow for the majority of the population. And how you are and how the coaching club is ran does not make anybody feel like that. And I think that's so important. And you know what, that feeling of feeling good about yourself comes from not just training 6 times a week and being a size 8. It's everything else that goes with it. And I think that's why a life change can't be done in a 90-day plan. It has to be that whole complete life overhaul. You know, when people ask me how have I done it, it's like it's just been a whole life overhaul. It's hard to pinpoint, isn't it? It's not just one thing. And I think that's where you're really good at sort of, and you can make such a difference. And I'm so glad that you want to hugely expand the coaching club and reach more people, because the more people that can experience this whole life change, the better, as far as I'm concerned. So just a little sort of goal. Got any goals coming up? Any short-term goals, long-term goals that you can sort of pinpoint? How far ahead do you actually think, by the way, with your goals? Are you a long
6 months?
6 months, no further than 6 months.
I did have so we had a wealth mentor come into the IOH last week, and he was asking us for wealth goals for 20 years. And I was like, I'm going to be fucking 53. I might not even be alive by then. I don't even know if like anything could happen. But anyway, so he said, like, do you plan for nothing, or do you make a plan and then tweak it as we go? Because that 20 years will go fast. So, but for me, so I actually on Saturday, I wrote down my next 6 months goals, and I've recently created a vision board. So on the back of on the like screensaver of my Mac and of my phone, they're not exactly the same because of the sizing and stuff, but I've got 2 very similar focal points. Like there's like 8 focal points in both of them. And I've also written down September specific goals, and that is both business, body, mindset, and like kind of like everything in one.
How long do you think people should spend of their time implementing goals? Do you put a couple of hours aside a month, or
implementing them, or creating the goals?
No, planning the goals?
It depends how thorough you are. Like, even if so you're Sandra right now and you're a stone overweight and you're like, I need to do something, just write down in a notebook. And actually, I need to read this out to you, because I said to Jen, because I've written down my goals, and I was like, why does it make it work so much better if we write it down? This was Jen's response. It removes it from the internal thinking process and forces you to think about it externally, because you have to put it into words. When we write things down, it creates a visual cue, and if it's kept in sight, makes us more likely to achieve it due to the reminder, and kept as an important thought, not an irrelevant one. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. So do you know what does that for me? What Jen just said, when I actually say the words to you, because that holds me, and you can ask me things and I'm holding back sometimes, because the moment I say it to you is the moment I know I'm going to have to action it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the such a good thing about having a coach. I mean, if you can do it yourself, great, but for me, it sometimes has to be really sort of extracted out of me.
It really does, because there's fears and stuff there, but often it's, so we think about things, but when we think about it, it doesn't have to make sense. We can just be like, like all these crazy thoughts. I would get 70 to 90,000 thoughts a day. So to write it down is extracting one of those 90,000 thoughts and going, plain English, what does this look like? And when you said then about having a coach, like I went through a phase where I said to Joe, I was like, I'm not like really utilizing the service anymore, so I'm going to leave. And also I pulled myself out of the mentorship group. I cannot say how incredible it is to have a new mentorship group, which suits me more with where I want to go, but also Joe back in my corner. Because that, like you just said about like having someone there to go, but what do you mean by that? And what are you not saying? And like, so I think we spoke when I was in Cape Verde, and there was a gap, and I was like, if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? And you're like, oh, I wouldn't have the confidence. And I was like, fucking bingo. Because that says to me, there is a gap with your confidence, and that won't just be in that sense. So it's about being asked the right questions, right?
100%. And I think, and that's where it helps to change up your environment, because when you're in an environment and you're conditioned socially all your life to be a certain way, you're never going to get someone within that environment pushing you out of your comfort zone. So that's why for me, joining an external environment, it has been amazing, because they're people that don't know how you've been conditioned, but they're just saying, well, that's what you want to do that, just do it. And I think that's amazing, and I can understand why, and I appreciate that you still have coaches, because that's having a massive positive effect on our experience as your clients. So we'll just finish off with which is also a question that you like to ask too, and I like it. If you could go back, let's go with this one. So how does Sasha Bai want to be remembered when you're 99 in your rocking chair?
Making people courageous to do whatever the fuck they want.
Amazing.
There is more to it. So basically, like, we can look at the fat loss, we can look at the business creation, whatever, like, people come to Coaching Club for, but what is the underlying thing behind it? The whole kind of mission of the Coaching Club is to change the trajectory of the modern day woman, so the women who have careers and also family, to no longer be bottom of the pile. So it's about building their courage. It's about getting them to voice up. If you look at feminism at the minute, I tap into that very lightly. And it's about, like, why the fuck should women have to put their lives on hold to, unless they want to look after the children, or if they're looking after the children, they should still have time to wear their hat as well. It's about helping women to find their voice and to truly step into the power of the person that they want to be. And that's what I want to be. And I also want to be remembered for the person who some fucking how got into schools, need to learn how to not swear first, and helped women.
I think it's stop.
Help children who are like teenagers, when they're at that socially impressionable age, to help them to understand they don't just have to follow the crowd. Because I, like, for probably 4 or 5 years, I was sniffing a lot of drugs every weekend when I was a teenager, because I just went with the crowd, you know. So I want to help people.
I was gonna get onto that, because with, obviously, you coach women, and in my personal life, and I'm sure lots of the other women in the coaching club are the same, my children have been educated off the back of me being educated, and I'm so happy that I've chosen to do this now, because I don't want them being conditioned in the same way, especially when it comes to health and diets. And my kids have never heard me say the word diet. It just doesn't happen. It actually makes me cringe if I hear anybody saying diet to their kids, around their kids, anything. And I think that's really important. I think that is the next big thing in the industry, that it has to go younger. It has to get there sooner, because this is the next generation coming through. And it's all very well if we're being coached and we're teaching our kids, but that's not enough, is it? And the fact that you're mentioning trying to get into schools and stuff, I think is amazing. And I don't think there's enough of that. I cannot believe in schools now how little they teach about the facts of life, you know, nutrition, health, mental well-being, finances, like personal finances. It blows my mind how little of life skills they're getting taught in schools. It really does.
It's mad. And if you think about like the curriculum in the UK, what it's actually set out for, and it literally just puts people into boxes, like you either pass or fail. So my current angle, and I've thought a lot, like I've been speaking to people behind the scenes for about a year around how to get into schools. My current angle is, who conditions their children the most? Parents, right? So and I connect more with women when it comes to the coaching space. So I'm like, right, if we could expand to help, you know, if we could if everyone in the coaching club was to refer their friend to join, we would then be able to help, you know, think about the spider web of that. So 50 more women, but then it would be their husbands and, say, for example, 2 children, then they will tell their friends as well. Think about the way that would expand out. And that's what the mission is now, is trying to go, yes, okay, I need to find an in for schools, which it's starting to build, but also I'm most comfortable and can be more myself, I think, when I'm coaching mums who understand me and who aren't, like, basically I can swear in front of, I can be candid. So I'm confident that we're on the right track. It's just going to be, we're going to look at trying to take it up a little bit more.
That's really exciting. And I think that's definitely needed. And like you say, I think the way in at the minute definitely is the mums, isn't it?
100%. Yeah.
It seems to work.
And they are setting an example for their children, you know, and you can set an example even if you're not intending to, and that example could be not the best one for them, you know. So like you mentioned about earlier of how, like, being selfish, I personally really don't see it as selfish. We're just conditioned to believe that it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's seen by others externally potentially as selfish, isn't it? But the moment you get past that yourself, the moment you can see it's the most unselfish thing you can do,
it's selfless, because everyone benefits, like, directly and indirectly from you being better. Is that my grilling?
That's it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I love that. I enjoy that.
No, I like that.
Shoe on the other foot for a change. So thank you so much for the questions. It will be really interesting to see what people thought of the answers, and kind of any questions that people have got off the back of my answers. I reckon we could definitely do a part 2 as well. I might get you in as a guest on, like, I don't know, maybe maybe we should do like episode 150.
Do you know what? There's so, obviously, we've become friends over the last 12 months, and obviously you schedule in coaching calls, don't you? But there's so many times I want to ask you stuff, but it's like, oh,
no, just do it. You like, I mean, we on our coaching calls we'll talk about you, because otherwise, like, we'll never fucking stop. Like, Carl, I'll be to bed tomorrow because I've got to chat to Sam. But you have access to me, so just voice note and ask away.
I know, but that's the thing. My coaching calls, you ask me a question and I want to turn around and say, well, what about you?
But that's what I love. And again, like one of the things we teach in coaching club is about curiosity and about experiment. And obviously you've just done that to a really high level with going away with the family, all-inclusive holiday, you know, weight's gone up, but you're not worried at all because you're like, one, it's water retention, and two, I know exactly what I need to do to get rid of it. And that is what we talk about. It's not, for me, I love it when people lose weight because it's obviously taking them closer to where they want to get to. But the real kind of like creme de la creme for me is when people maintain it. And that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's just testament to you, mate.
Yeah. No, amazing. I just want to say thank you so much, Sash, for everything.
You're very welcome. Thank you for being fucking fantastic. And for everyone listening, thank you so much. It will be interesting to see the comments on the Facebook and Instagram when we get it posted up on there. But Sam, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. That was so much fun. Any final words?
No, all good. Just keep smashing it and get home so we can see if
so we can go for a spa day.
Yeah.
All right then, love. Thank you so much. Take it easy. Bye. Take care.